and post-mortem examinations in order to develop medicine further. And the church didn't allow autopsy at the time. They said it hurts the soul.
Razlog, zakaj je Descartes pred 400 leti postavil trditev, da je telo in ostali del nas samih, da sta to dve različni stvari, je, da bi omogočil, da lahko zdravniki nadaljujejo z svojim delom, predvsem z avtopsijo, kajti avtopsija do takrat jo cerkev ni dovolila, ker je rekla, da avtopsija škodi človekovi duši.
So by saying that the soul had nothing to do with the body, the church said, all right then, you can have an autopsy to promote science.
Ko je cerkev rekla, da telo in duša nimata nič skupnega, oziroma se s tem strinjala, je s tem tudi indirektno dovolila, da se uporablja avtopsija za napredek znanosti.
And Descartes himself was a deeply spiritual person and a believer, so he did this for the sake of science.
Descartes je bil zelo globoko verna in poduhovljena oseba in je to storil zaradi tega, ker je verjel, da s tem pomaga znanosti.
The trouble is that modern medicine is still following the Descartesian principle that there is the body and there is everything else, and the two have nothing to do with each other.
Težava je v tem, da po 400 letih znanost še vedno sledi Descartovi tezi, da je telo nekaj in potem je še tisto ostalo.
And that's a terrible mistake because the body and the psyche are together like this, and you cannot and must not try to separate them.
In to je zelo velika napaka, kajti telo in psiha sta zelo povezana in se ne bi smela razdruževati.
In the last century, at the beginning of the 20th century, the two giants of modern psychology, Freud and Jung, who were both doctors, by the way, they both trained as doctors first, began to talk about the connection between the two, but medicine didn't take any notice of it.
V začetku 20. stoletja sta dva velikana, Jung in Freud, ki sta bila po izobrazbi zdravnika, začela govoriti o tem, da je telo in duša, da sta povezana, vendar nista najprej naletela na razumevanje.
And therefore, for instance, medicine, physical medicine and psychotherapy had absolutely no relationship to each other.
Zaradi tega medicina telesa in psihoterapija takrat nista imela popolnoma nobene povezave.
Despite this, at the beginning of the 1960s, psycho-oncology came into being, which is really showing the connection between a cancer patient's emotional and inner life and the development of the disease or the cure.
1960, okoli 60 let prejšnjega stoletja se je pojavila psiho-onkologija, kot disciplina, ki je povezovala počutje človeka in stanje njegovega fizičnega telesa.
Even this didn't make a very deep impression on medicine until about 25 years ago, when something very important happened.
Tudi to ni naredilo velik vtis na takratno sodobno medicino, do trenutka približno 25 let pozneje, ko se je nekaj zelo pomembnega zgodilo.
As you know, in science, only the sort of finding is accepted which can be repeated and measured.
Kot veste, v znanosti so sprejeta samo tiste ugotovitve, ki so lahko izmerjene in ponovljene.
And until this event, which I'm going to tell you about, there was nothing you could measure or repeat, because you can't weigh the psyche and you can't repeat great spiritual breakthrough or a miraculous healing, you can't repeat it. Therefore it was dismissed.
Do tega trenutka to ni bilo upoštevano, ker ni bilo mogoče izmeriti stanje psihe, neko veliko notranje spoznanje, ker preprosto se ga ne da izmeriti in se ga tudi ne da ponoviti.
So what happened 25 years, roughly 25 years ago, I'm very bad at dates, I can never remember them, in America, of course, a woman scientist established a method by which it is possible to demonstrate scientifically the connection between our inner life and our physical health.
Takrat je zdravnica, seveda v Ameriki, iznumila metodo, po kateri je možno demonstrirati povezavo med našim notranjim življenjem in stanjem našega zdravja.
Why it was particularly important was that she focused on the immune system, how our inner landscape, if you like, our inner life, affects physically the immune system.
Ugotovila je, kako, da gre za imunski sistem in ugotovila je povezavo, na kakšen način lahko notranje življenje, naše notranje življenje vpliva na stanje imunskega sistema.
For that reason, her discovery is known as psychoneuroimmunology, which is rather long, we call it PNI.
To je razlog, zakaj se njeno razkritje, njeno ugotovitev, njeno odkritje imenuje psihoneuroimmunologija.
Now, what does it mean in simple terms? In simple terms, it means that the brain and the central nervous system, between them, produce certain hormones.
Kaj poenostavljeno to pomeni? Možgani in centralni živčni sistem v sodelovanju en z drugim producirata določene hormone.
These hormones get into the circulation and travel all over the body.
Ti hormoni pridajo v obtok in potujejo po celotnem telesu.
As they travel through the body, they meet what we call receptors. Imagine a key and a keyhole.
Ko potujejo po telesu, ti hormoni srečajo tako zvane receptorje. Predstavljajte si ključ in ključavnico.
So the hormone meets the receptor, they meet, and a new hormone is produced.
Ko hormon sreča receptor, sprejemnik, in ko se združita, potem nastane nov hormon.
This new hormone also travels around the body.
Tudi ta nov hormon potem potuje po telesu.
And it either strengthens or undermines the immune system. And now comes the important bottom line.
In ta hormon potem ali okrepi, ali ošvohni imunski sistem in zdaj prihajamo do pomembnega spoznanja.
The quality of the hormone, and please remember this, the quality of this hormone depends on your inner state.
Kvaliteta tega hormona pa je odvisna od vašega notranjega stanja.
If you are positive and hopeful and trusting and altogether know that you can manage your life and everything is fine, the hormone helps your immune system. Can I get some sweet, something to swallow? Some sweet or something, what? Something to help my throat. Sorry.
Torej, kvaliteta tega hormona je zelo pomembna zaradi tega, ker določa, ali bo ta hormon okrepil imunski sistem. In kvaliteta hormona je odvisna od tega, ali ste pozitivno naravnani, ali zaupate, ali ste radostni, ali ste prepričani, da lahko svoje življenje nekako kontrolirate?
Sorry about that. Yes, I think it is. I'll eat the paper too. Thank you. If on the other hand you are negative and pessimistic and judgmental and everything is horrible and everybody else is not nice, so you are negative, you undermine your immune system because the hormone just pulls it down and pulls it down. It's as simple as that.
Zelo enostavno je, če ste negativno nastrojeni, kritični, nikoli ni nič v redu, potem ta hormon preprosto spodjeda vaš imunski sistem. Tako preprosto je to.
Now the beauty of this is that it is a repeatable experiment. You can have your volunteers or human guinea pigs if you like, and you can try this out and observe the result.
Lepota tega je, da je to ponovljivo. Lahko izberete ljudi, neke vrste poskusne hrčke in dejansko ponovite eksperiment.
And I want you to understand that this is the most enormous breakthrough which has happened in the last 100 years in medicine. That they cannot anymore dismiss the psychological aspects as, oh, well, you are just, it's all in your head, they say. It's such an insult.
To je največji preboj v medicini v zadnjih stoletjih, kajti ni več mogoče trditi, da psihologija nima vpliva, da to je samo v vaši glavi.
That doesn't mean, unfortunately, that all doctors everywhere accept this, but it is at least a scientifically established principle which cannot be denied.
To še vedno ne pomeni, da vsi zdravniki povsod so to že sprejeli, vendar je to zdaj znanstveno potrjeno in se ne more več zanikati.
For us as individuals, it's terribly important because it takes me back to where I started, that we have to take responsibility for our own health, for our healing if we are ill, or for preserving our health if we still have it.
To me pripelje nazaj na začetno trditev, da imamo zelo pomembne sposobnosti, kako pomagati telesu se pozdraviti.
It puts a tremendously strong tool in our own hands because we have to stop and look at ourselves. How do I feel about life? How do I feel about the world? Should I perhaps try to change my attitude?
To nas pripelje do tega, da se zamislimo, da se vprašamo, kaj mislimo o svojem življenju, kaj mislimo o temu o temu svetu. In ta občutek je zelo pomemben za naše zdravje.
Now, very interestingly, in Britain, we have many small groups, centers, trying to help mainly cancer patients, and there the psychological aspect is strongly emphasized.
V Veliki Britaniji imamo veliko skupin, ki pomagajo ljudem z rakom, in pri delu teh skupin je psihološki efekt zelo poudarjen.
I find it rather hopeful that it's private individuals who start these little groups. We are not waiting for them to do something for us. We are doing something for ourselves.
Kar mi vliva upanje je, da so to privatne osebe, ne nekdo tam zgoraj, ki so take skupine začeli. Torej so vzeli stvari v svoje roke in ne čakajo na nekoga tam zgoraj.
My particular interest is in helping cancer patients because I had it myself, I know what it's like. I am deeply grateful for having survived thanks to reversal therapy, and that was 32 years ago. So I must have done something right.
Tudi jaz pomagam pacientom z rakom, osebami z rakom, kajti raka sem tudi sama imela in sem ga preživela pred 32 leti. Torej sem očitno naredila nekaj pravilnega.
And ever since I recovered in 1983, it has been a kind of ethical necessity for me to do this work, because I received so much help when I was ill, and I want to pass this on to others.
Vse od časa, od tistega trenutka, ko sem se pozdravila, to je bilo 1983, imam to obvezo, moralno obvezo, da tem ljudem pomagam, kajti tudi jaz takrat, ko sem potrebovala, sem prijela veliko pomoči.
And so this is really rounding up what I've been trying to tell you about establishing a new relationship to the body. And first I concentrated on the physical side, but now we have to add this very important psychological factor.
Najprej sem se osredotočila na fizični nivo, na telo, vendar zdaj moramo temu dodati še zelo pomemben faktor, psihološki faktor.
And since my recovery, I have worked with many cancer patients as a psychotherapist, and I was able to see what enormous changes, even in the physical state of the person, what enormous changes can be caused by a switching of the inner attitude, the inner orientation.
Kot psihoterapevt sem delala za celo vrsto oseb z rakom in sem lahko tudi videla, kakšne velike spremembe se lahko dogodijo, ko se notranji standing, stališče spremeni, odnos stališče spremeni.
And I want to tell you the story of one particular patient, not my patient, I met her at the conference, which shows you the enormous power of the inner determination. This was a lady about 60 years old, and she was a former hospital sister.
Rada bi vam povedala zgodbo o pacientu, ne svojem pacientu, o gospe, ki sem jo srečala na neki konferenci, 60 let stari, ki je bila prej delala v bolnici.
Now she developed cancer rather badly, and she was treated in the hospital where she used to be a sister, a nursing assistant.
Dobila je resnega raka in so jo tretirali v bolnici, kjer je prej delala kot medicinska sestra.
And so she knew most of the doctors, and one evening one of the doctors whom she knew was making his rounds in the hospital ward and got to her bed.
Zdravnike je poznala vse in nekega večera je en zdravnik, ki ga je poznala, naredil vizito in je prišel v okviru te vizite tudi do njene postelje.
And so this patient said to the doctor, look, we've known each other a long time, be honest to me, how much time have I left?
Rekla je zdravniku, poglej, midva se že dolgo poznava, koliko časa mi še preostane?
And the doctor didn't want to answer, but she insisted, and eventually he said, well, I think about 6 months.
Zdravnik najprej ni želel dati odgovora, vendar je ona vztrajala in končno je rekel, ja, mislim, da nekje okoli 6 mesecev.
So the patient said, then I have 6 months to get well.
Potem je pacientka rekla, ja, to pa pomeni, da ima 6 mesecev, da ozdravim.
And that was the moment when she decided to take things into her own hands.
In to je bil trenutek, ko je ona odločila, da bo stvari vzela v svoje roke.
So she called some of her friends, because she was so weak she could not really walk, to take her from the hospital to a naturopath.
Torej, takrat je poklicala svoje prijatelje, ker je bila tako šibka, da ni mogla odbiti, da jo vzamejo z bolnice in pripeljajo k naturopatu.
Yeah, that's it, yes. So they did that, and she said to the naturopath, I want you to design a healing diet for me because I want to get well.
In temu naturopatu je rekla, želim, da oblikujete dieto zame, kajti jaz želim ozdraveti.
It so happens that I knew this naturopath personally, so I could confirm the story.
Tega naturopata poznam osebno in zaradi tega lahko potrdim to zgodbo.
So he didn't want to have anything to do with her because he could see that she was terribly ill, but she insisted. She was that sort of lady.
Najprej naturopat ni želel prevzeti tega, ker je videl, da je pacientka v zelo slabem stanju, vendar je ona ustrajala.
So eventually he put her on the Gerson therapy.
Torej na koncu jo je nekako vključil v Gersonovo terapijo.
So she was taken to her home and her friends helped her and got everything organized, and she did the intensive therapy, and she told us sometimes she was so weak that she went on all fours to the kitchen.
Torej šla domov, poskrbeli so za vse potrebno in je šla skozi to terapijo, jo je vzela, jo je speljala in je tekom terapije bila včasih tako šibka, da je hodila kar po štirih.
And she recovered. And she told us the story at this conference, and she was a little, finely boned, filigree lady. She wasn't a great, big, powerful woman. She was like a little girl. And she said, and here I am, and I'm very well, thank you.
Ta oseba je zelo filigrana, zelo nežna, zelo krhka in na tej konferenci nam je povedala svojo zgodbo in je rekla, poglejte, tukaj sem in zdrava sem.
Now, of course, this is an exceptional story, and I'm not saying that if we try to be heroic and insist that we necessarily recover, we don't. I don't want to suggest that the Gerson therapy is a miracle cure, because it's not. It does have wonderful results, but it also has many fiascos because the patient is too ill, or there are all kinds of reasons. So I'm not trying to make out that this is a kind of paradise of healing, because it's not.
Ne želim z vami podeliti misli oziroma trditve, da je Gersonova terapija čudežno zdravilo. Ima zelo dobre rezultate. Včasih ne deluje tudi zaradi tega, ker je stanje pacienta, ko začne s terapijo, zelo slabo.
I only told you the story because it's such a good example of how this little woman in the hospital bed said, I'm not going to die.
Torej, to zgodbo delim z vami zaradi tega, da poudarim, kako pomembno je bilo, da ta krhka oseba, da je v svoj postelji v bolnici rekla, ne bom umrla, sama bom vzela stvari v svoje roke.
So to sum up, before I open it up for questions, if there are any, to sum up, we have to establish a very good relationship to our body.
Torej, da povzamem, preden preidemo do vprašanja, če bodo kakšna vprašanja, moramo vzpostaviti zelo dober odnos do lastnega telesa.
It has to be a friendly, respectful relationship and a grateful one, because the body carries us through life.
Mora biti izjemen odnos med nami in našim telesom, spoštljiv odnos, fantastičen odnos, tudi zelo hvaležen odnos, kajti telo je tisto, ki nas pelje skozi naše življenje.
So with this new relationship, we feed the body the best possible way, and we don't poison it with stuff which it doesn't need.
In v tem novem odnosu do lastnega telesa ga hranimo z najboljšimi stvarmi in ga ne zastrupljamo z stvarmi, ki ne spadajo v naše.
The second point is, just to sum it up, to listen to the body and take the symptoms as messages.
Druga točka je, ko povzemam, da poslušamo naše telo, da ga dobro poslušamo, kajti simptomi so sporočila našega telesa.
And if you have repeated headaches, don't just hit it with an aspirin, just begin to wonder why you are having headaches. Always ask why. It's the most important question in life.
Najpomembnejše vprašanje v življenju je zakaj. Torej, če imate ponavljajoče se glavobole, ne vzamite preprosto samo aspirina, temveč se vprašajte, zakaj imam te glavobole.
And the third thing is to be very aware of the connection between your inner and your outer world. That what you think and feel, your brain and your heart together, does have an influence, a very strong one, on your physical condition.
In naslednja stvar, ki bi jo poudarila, je zelo pomembna povezava med vašo notranjostjo in vašo zunanjostjo. Da možgani in vaše srce so zelo povezani z ostalim delom vašega telesa.
And try not to lead a stressful life, because stress undermines your health.
In poskušajte ne živeti stresnega življenja, kajti stres spodjeda vaše zdravje.
It doesn't cause disease. Some people say, oh, he or she got cancer because of stress. That's absolute nonsense.
Stres ne povzroča bolezni. Nekateri pravijo, dobil je raka zaradi stresa, vendar to je neumnost.
Stress contributes to falling ill. It's the last, I don't know how you say it in Slovene, but we say it's the last straw that breaks the camel's back.
Torej, stres je zadnja, v angleščini slamica, ki zlomi kameli hrbet. Morda v našem jeziku zadnja kaplja, ki sodu izbije dno.
So that's about it. That's what I wanted to tell you. And if there are any questions, if I know the answer, I'll give it. If not, I'll say sorry. I do not answer medical questions because I'm not a doctor.
To je vse, kar sem želela z vami podeliti. Torej, če so kakšna vprašanja, na dan z njimi, podelila bom odgovore, če bom imela odgovore na ta vprašanja, vendar ne postavljajte mi medicinskih vprašanj, kajti jaz nisem zdravnik.
Yes, okay. Yes, okay,
Bomo imeli 10-minutno pauzo, potem se bom pa z vprašanjem pozabavili.